I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. I sent out a tweet on Monday regarding how to dissolve MAGA and defeat Tribulation Trump. Because a lot of people, a lot of the leftist people, all the George Soros supported people bought and paid for by George Soros, and all the, if you woke people, including the pinch-nosed Negro. If you don't know what a pinch-nosed Negro is, go to the Urban Dictionary, and you can Google it on Google, pinch-nosed Negro. It'll tell you it's in the Urban Dictionary about a Negro, a black person who wants to be white. Probably went to a great school, got a good job, and they don't want to be black no more, so they talk like they're white with their pinched nose. So in case you want to know that, well, I've already told you, so you don't have to go to Google. But here, very seriously, not that I wasn't serious, by the way, I'm always serious. What a number of people are trying to figure out, well, how are we going to stop Trump? It looks like no matter what happens, how many court findings, indicted 4 times, 91 counts, twice impeached, and but it seems his power and popularity continues to grow. So I figured I'd let people, if you really want to know, here's how you can do it. If you want to know how to defeat Trump, let me tell you how to dissolve. First thing you need to do is, which I schedule as item number 1, is that, and you can see there in that posting there, remove and silence all the pinched nose and woke Negroes from news programs, college professorships, and every political office in America. Now, if you could do that, if you can accomplish that, the MAGA people will go away. If you can accomplish that, the reason why Trump is, listen, when people look at Trump and then try to figure out why is he so powerful, not understanding, listen, you got these woke Negroes, you got these pinch-nosed Negroes. I mean, listen, you got somebody, and they look at people like Tucker Carlson, for instance, who, no matter what, will bow down to Trump, or Sean Hannity. You have to understand that in the woke crowd, in the Negro, you got people like Charlemagne, who calls himself a god. Any fool that calls himself the God. Actually, Charlemagne is a prince. He was one of the first princes of Charles of France. But when you got somebody that calls himself the God and got 3 million people listening to him every day, you got to figure out, we got to keep Tucker Carlson. We got to keep Sean Hannity. We got to keep Fox News. When you got Negroes like that call themselves God. And the woke people can never understand that their visit to the bathroom leaves a wicked odor also. They can never jiggy with that. So you got to get rid of them. You got to remove all the pinch-nosed Negroes, get them all out. You say, well, Pastor Man, some of these Negroes do a real good job. Well, let me say this to you. I mean, I'm looking at the fact that you got Letitia James, who's the district attorney for the entire state of New York, right? And then you got Fonnie Willis, who's the attorney for Fulton County, there in the state of Georgia, which is as prominent and powerful as to Letitia James. And these are 2 women. You say, well, Pastor Man, black people have made great progress. You're talking about undoing all that progress. Yeah! Because a line associated with their progress has come the greatest, if you will, disruption of black families, the greatest, if you will, absentee father roster in the history of the entire world. And it is the backdraft, if you will, of the rise and progress of these Negroes becoming politicians or becoming, if you will, officials like Letitia James or Fonnie Willis. Or what happens to get to Fonnie Willis and to get to Letitia James and Mary Eric Adams or David Dinkins or any of these other mayors or whatever you have in terms of so-called black people rising has been the little destruction of the very fabric of black people. And in terms, right now, we've got the worst of 2 worlds when it comes to black people. Now, just listen to me. You don't have to agree with anything I say. Listen, you're so smart. Why you turn me on? What's your problem? Just listen to me, all right? We got the worst of two worlds when it comes to black people. You got some black people, a slither of black people who are given an opportunity to be a politician. They're bought and paid for, but the only place they put them in is in Negro-infested ghetto areas or greater Negro population. Let's say, for instance, you say, well, listen, you know, you got Eric Adams. I call him Pharaoh, Eric Adams. And by the way, I had an article about one of his aides just abruptly quit. Well, if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, well, if it wasn't for black people and all that marching and protesting, then we wouldn't have black men. Can I say something to you? Can I just talk to you? First of all, before the civil rights movement, black families, every child grew up with a father in the house, whether he had a great job or no job. That boy and that girl had a father, and they grew up to be somebody, inspired to be somebody. They wanted to be teachers or scientists. They wanted to be entrepreneurs. And they weren't out robbing and stealing and going to jail. Charles Pullman couldn't create enough trains to get all the black people that were going to jail since they marched on 1963. And the bus ride, the Montgomery bus boycott, you can't get all the buses in the world, wouldn't be enough to send all the black men that have been to prison since the Montgomery bus boycott. So, I mean, while you had those things, look, oh, how wonderful it is. But look at what the backdraft had been, and I'll talk to you more about the spiritual decline. Are you still listening? Are you still listening? Well, we got black mayor, Eric Adams, black mayor, city of New York. Well, first of all, Eric Adams is not even a puppet. I mean, some of these black mayors, at least they'd have some thoughts of them. This man is in deep trouble. First of all, he's been running around that homo, that guy Bishop Whitehead, and that guy's a hustler and a con man from way back when. We'll get to that too. But it is expedient to put if you got a city like New York, you got 8 million people and half of them are black or Hispanic or poor, go ahead and give the office of mayor to a black man. Who cares? He so he'll get on television and be on a news program, but he better not get out of line. His job is to make sure that the garbage gets picked up on time and that the trains run on time. Beyond that, he ain't going to be making no decision about what's going on politically, and he definitely ain't going to be making no decision about the uplift of black people. When some rich person wants to do a charity event, they'll call him, trot him out, and put on a black tie and a bow tie, and let him stand at the Alfred Smith dinner or something like that, and say we're going to build a new hospital or a new school in a black community. But he ain't the one that's doing it. They just use him as a mouthpiece because the people got the money and people are doing it. They don't have time. They stay drunk too much. They have to get up in the middle of the night because some 17-year-old boy shot a police officer in Harlem. They don't want to have to get up in the middle of the night. They got 2 men in bed with them and these rich politicians. And they let some Negro run up there and take care of that. So they put him in as mayor. He ain't got no power, and everybody knows it. I know it. I'm telling you. Get rid of him. See, what the MAGA people are afraid of, and not necessarily, I shouldn't say afraid as if they're afraid of a bear, but what the MAGA people are concerned about is that how the woke people, how the George Soros, how the globalists, how they use black people. And I think many of the MAGA people feel sorry for them. How can y'all be so stupid? Can't you see you're being used? Can't you? You ain't got no power. Go in your own neighborhood, nigga, and look at all the poor people in you. Look at all the people sleeping on the street. Look at all the black men sleeping on the street. And you say you the mayor of New York, and you got thousands of people sleeping on the street. Out there in Los Angeles, California, you got 70,000. That Jay-Z and that witch of his called Beyonce living in an $88 million house out there in Bel Air, and you got 80 million black people sleeping on the street in tents in Los Angeles. I mean, if you think you made progress, you call it progress, that Jay-Z is living in an $88 million house and you got 70,000 black men sleeping on the street? Have you lost your mind? That ain't progress. You got one Negro living in a very expensive house who has, by the way, leave that damn in there. You got one Negro living in a house, $88 million. And let me tell you something. That Negro, Jay-Z and Beyonce have made more money for Jewish, if you will, entertainment, if you will, production people. I'm trying to think of what people in the Jewish men in the music industry and entertainment industry and Lionsgate and all that. Listen, if Jay-Z has made $1 billion, Lionsgate, them Jews that all, and by the way, I'm not anti-Jewish. I'm a Zionist. You don't know what that means? That means, well, it might get a whole lot of people angry. I believe that the land that God gave to Abraham belongs to the Jews. I think the Muslim people, I understand that they want to be a part of the process, and they had Palestine for quite some time. But, I just got to go along with the Bible, pardon me, but God say that land belongs to the Jews and not to the Muslims. What am I going to do? I'm a Zionist, right? And I believe that Jesus was a Jew. And so I align myself with Jewish brothers. In fact, I keep a Tanakh, a Jewish Bible on my desk. But they go haven't said that. There's a whole lot of Jews that done pimp people like, let me tell you something. If Jay-Z, I need to talk to Jay-Z because I've been in the street. I know the pimp gang. Let me tell you something. If Jay-Z realized how he been influenced to pimp Beyonce, and the one that taught him how to do it was the Jews in the music industry. Ask Monique, I tell you what, ask Cat Williams. Ask them. Ask them. They'll tell you. Ask them. Listen, them Jewish men taught Jay-Z how to pimp Beyonce, how to make her, you Lord have mercy. Talking about you. And you got, Jay-Z living there. Look how we done made it. Here's a Negro sleeping on the street talking about Jay-Z lives at 88 million. He ain't got enough sense to know he's sleeping on the street. Listen, so here's what you got to do. Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Bring up that piece again. You got to get rid of all these people. You got to get rid of all of them. And if you get rid of them, then the MAGA people won't have any reason to be so committed to Trump. And Trump will have no reason to be so powerful. If you get rid of all these, if you get rid of these pensioners, Negroes, and these are the worst ones, by the way. So listen here, I'm not a mathematician or statistician or pollster or any of that kind of thing. I'm just a Lord's servant. But I'll tell you this, that for every Negro, so-called Negro that's made it, like Will Smith, who, his wife, what they want to say about him in public, one of us will be dead. Either she'd be dead or I'd be in jail. And the rest of them, at the Emmys and the awards and, for every Negro that's made it, you got at least, let's say, 100,000 Negroes who are living in abject poverty, broke, poor. And by the way, most of these Negroes that have made it are nothing more than stooges and puppets for what, like I said before. And I'm not a Jew hater. I'm not anti-Jew. I'm Zionist. I'll tell you that right now. And as much as anyway, but for every Negro that is so-called made it in the movie industry or in sports or entertainment or got a professorship like that Eddie Gloyd boy out there at Princeton University or that Van Jones, then you got people like Al Sharpton. Listen, Al Sharpton, who is perhaps can't read at the 5th grade level, and this is absolute truth, and everybody knows that I ain't saying nothing bad about the boy, can't read at the 5th, but MSNBC keeps him. Now, I took him down. BMW said if you keep Al Sharpton on that, we ain't advertising on MSC, so they took him down from 5 days a week because I boycotted the BMW. But let me tell you something. Al Sharpton is not even a mascot. They keep him there because that keeps at least all the black politicians, all the newsmakers such as Obama and everybody, that gives them access to the black community, knowing they don't deserve it, MSNBC. And so you got to get rid of all these people. You got to get rid of them. If you can get rid of them, then MAGA they'll fade back into the night like they never was there. But as long as you got these woke people, as long as you got these George Soros, as long as you got, let me put it this way to you, this way as well. It's just politics. It's just, it's a bit of whose side you're on. The problem is that the woke people can't see. They think that MAGA is awful. But look how bad Black Lives Matter is. Look how bad. Listen, they think, okay, DeSantis and a bunch of other people want to burn Brooks, want to burn Toni Morrison's bluest eye and with that vulgar stuff. It's absolute open pornography, that Toni Morrison girl. So they said how awful that is. They don't want our fourth graders and our first graders and second graders learning about sex and reading about some of these books and all the stuff that's going on. And so they can't see woke people. They can't see how wretched they are. They can't see how anti-God they are. And on the other hand, the MAGA people can't see how awful they are, and they're awful too. No, they are. They're awful too. And so it's just the general, two people against one another. It's the Civil War without the bombs and the bullets, and there ain't no Abraham Lincoln no more. It's like the North against the North, the South against the South, the North against the South, the South against the North. It's just the Civil War all over again, but we ain't got no Abraham Lincoln. And so if you want to figure out how to keep Trump out of the presidency, the truth of the matter is, however, is that if Biden becomes president, what does the world look like under his leadership? And it's only from your perspective. You have to understand something. It depends on the looking glass you're looking through. MAGA people think they are as right as woke people think they're right. They both think they're right, and they need me and Judge Joe Brown to tell them what's up. At any rate, everybody, I'm not through with this, so let's get rid of all these college professors. Get rid of them. They got that boy named Bishop Barber, right? He's up there at Yale. They put together some sort of program that's not a part of the academic excellence of Yale. Bishop Barber, Poor People's Campaign. That's so tired. I mean, the Poor People's Campaign. Listen, Jesse Jackson ran that years ago with the Rainbow Coalition, the Poor People's Campaign. Now he's running, and everybody, Bishop Barber. And here he goes, he on television pontificating. He's holding some sort of, talking about how many black people don't vote. We had over in the last election, we had over nearly 3 million people in North Carolina didn't vote. I'm telling you something. You can go down to Bishop Barber and your Yale, whatever it is you got, and them 3 million people still ain't gonna vote because they don't believe in voting. These black people don't. These black people don't. Let me tell you something. These black people don't want to vote because they don't think the votes will be counted. The black people don't want to vote in North Carolina and every place else. Where you say there are so many millions of people black people that stayed out of the last election, they didn't vote because they don't like the candidate. They didn't vote because they can vote for some white person that's gonna give a scholar, if you will, a discipline at Yale University and keep putting these Negroes in these positions. So don't vote for the white folk, and you won't get these Negroes getting these college professorships. You won't get these Negroes on the news program every night pontificating about the news. You won't get all these Negro politicians as mayor. So because when you vote for the white man, then he puts this black man in power. So that's why these 3 million people in across well, and I'm from North Carolina too, by the way, so I know the ropes. But it's the same thing everywhere. It's the same thing everywhere. Black people don't want to vote. Get out to vote. And rock the vote. I think that boy Jay-Z, rock the vote. That's rock the vote. Black people don't want to vote. What they voting for? It don't help them. Well, we can get more government support. We can get more interest, all that. Black people, listen, we were better off before you gave us the right to vote. And so, the heck with that. I think that it's important that we have a different perspective. Now, the other thing is this, and I'm going to definitely turn y'all loose after this. The other thing is this, they don't want to hear my perspective. Is that right? Yeah, Pastor Manning? I mean, they got this blasphemer called Charles the God. In fact, that's what we call him, Charlemagne. He's Charles the God. Call himself the God. I mean, what the Sam Hill? I mean, here's somebody calling himself the God? And he's been lifted up black people. Where is the black man's religion? Where's Jesus in this? You gonna call, and 3 million people listed, and between him and Al Sharpton, who was a known drug dealer. Let me tell you something about Al Sharpton. I'll tell you this. Someone shared this with me, and he said it was off the record, so I'm going to let it stay off the record, but I can tell you, if I had to tell you this, boy, what the real background behind Al Sharpton when he was out there at Washington Temple with Bishop Frederick Douglass Washington, the Washington Temple out there on Rogers Avenue, when he so-called started out as a boy preacher, what Al Sharpton was doing. But I told the man said it was off the record, so I'm going to honor that because I'm a reporter and I want to keep things straight.